Hey everybody, BTO Pro here. Today I'm going to start on, I'm not going to finish, but I'm going to start on an element that is specifically for education, which has to do with assessment. So going back to the OER schema docs here, you can see there's this little learning objectives thing. But if I view source, you can see there's a resource at the end here that is type of assessment. And so Mike doesn't have this fully fleshed out, but I'm going to start adding stuff anyway. So just to get something in place. So another part of this, why I'm doing these, is to destroy your worldview about how long these things should take. So we need an assessment element, but we need to go off of some instructional design best. Oh shoot, I have access to instructional designers who do really cool things. So what I have here is a self-check question outline that instructional designer unit, his name's Bill Rose, he's awesome. He made this. So he works with the faculty and lays out what the objectives are, and then comes from there to, okay, we need to tease out some questions students would need to learn to fully grasp why did Rome fall. So I've taken out the answers so that if you're in that class you can't cheat, and obviously his doesn't say you did awesome, okay, but you get the idea. So what we're going to build is a self-check or a multiple choice question here. So probably going to name it multiple choice, or right, because I don't want to make the evaluation that is purely for self-check purposes. So a multiple choice question would seem to do the deal. So let's do multiple, or is that what it is? It's question, yeah, it's multiple choice. Okay, so this is going to be multiple choice. Use our little polymer tooling, and this one I'm going to move immediately. So we've got this element, I've got multiple choice fired up here. Where is that among my 10,000 elements? Okay, multiple choice. So we're going to take that, we're going to move it in scope of HAX body. I think I showed this the other day as far as my workflow for when I'm really deep in trying to get things wired up to HAX. So, okay, so we've got multiple choice in here. There it is. Okay, and clearly it wouldn't live in here forever, but let's just work on it in the main directory, and then this will give me an easy place to move it to. There we go. Okay, so I like to work this way where I've got kind of the element, and so I'm working on the element by itself, and then I'll have a place to move it so I can test it in the case of HAX. Now, since yesterday, I have cleaned up but not fully corrected array-based data binding. So what does that mean? Let's review that real quick. I have a task list, and a task list is OER schema capable and steps to completion. And in those steps, instructionally, it might say like, go to class, and look, I've got the data binding in real time. Woohoo! Or clean your room, or take the self-check, right? So then I can insert that, and I've got my steps to completion right there. So it's not fully finished. I need to, right? It's doing some silly duplication of information, but it's pretty close, right? So it's good enough that I can start to work on kind of like what it would be if we did that capability in something else. So let's look at our multiple choice element. Let's look at how I took this document, right? So this is the document of how to make a multiple choice element, and I kind of broke it out into this. So I talked to Bill and I said, okay, well, how do we translate from that document back there into a schematized element? And so in this case, I'm talking about going directly at the HAX data binding. I'm going to build backwards from HAX data binding, which I haven't done before, but I think will actually be really useful in this case. So I'm going to move multiple choice into my little stack here. Okay, multiple choice. So in the case of multiple choice, we're going to want schema behaviors, body behaviors, probably colorizing at some point. All right, so instead of starting at like, hey, this is what it looks like visually, I'm going to skip down and start at the data the data model with the properties. And so Bill said, all right, well, I have a title, and okay, title is going to be a type string. I'm going to add an option to hide the title, and so that would be hide title, and it's going to be type, in this case, Boolean, and value is going to default to false. This is going to be one of those that I'm going to reflect to attribute true. And then I'm going to doc block comment it, option to flag, I like to use the word flag to hide the title. Now, why you would do this is maybe to students you don't want to present title all the time, but if you're editing this, it might be useful to quantify and say, hey, this is the name of this thing. It also might be useful for OER schema data. Okay, then any question? And a question to ask is going to be type string value nothing. I don't need to set value nothings on these, but sometimes I like to, just so we don't have to account for empty case or a type of undefined cases. And I'm not going to reflect that one. Okay, so we've got question to ask, and we're going to go through. Okay, so there's answers, and answers is that complex element structure. So an answer, right? If I have like answer 1, answer 2, I need to also keep a piece of data that has to do with, right, that like radio bubble field. And so this could be a composite of a Boolean and then this list. It could also be, like correct answer, and that could just be a number like 4. Right? But visually, that's going to be kind of obnoxious to construct in the UI versus if I have a Boolean that moves along, like a checkbox that moves along with everything else, that's probably a lot easier to do. So we're going to do answers. Okay. Array of possible answers. All right. And so answers is going to be type array. I realized last night in working on task list, a lot of the issue that I was having with some data binding when I did the initial video had to actually do with this. So I'm going to have to put that in again and then I'm going to say what that does. But because that way I won't lose a half an hour. It is a rather obnoxious aspect of data binding, specifically in Polymer, but it's an issue with other platforms as well. So basically, when you have a complex object, if you have a string, it's really easy to say, hey, when the string updates, update here in the template binding. For performance reasons, it's a lot more difficult to say like this, to do like thing.stuff.0.cool now equals whatever, and to reflect that when it updates to what. So to do that in a performant way is a little complicated, and so Polymer has this notify path connotation in which if you're aware of what changed in the data, you can tell it specifically, like, hey, this specific value updated, which can then be used in data binding up above. So let's ignore that's not a super important thing for the time being. So answers changed, notice, and answer has changed, and update the DOM. Okay, so it's going to update this little shadow DOM. So answers, it's obviously not going to be value of that. We'll just say open close, and we're going to put on notify, which has to do with some event bubbling. Okay. All right, so that gets us through here. This part will be defined in HAX. It's not going to actually be defined in the UI or in the element itself. So then correct answer, I'm not going to have that because that was me riffing. Okay, so then we've got correct and incorrect answers. So then we're going to have correct answer text to display. Okay, correct type string value. Great job. I should put on that obnoxious ding if anybody's seen some of the past prototypes that I've done. All right, so let's do incorrect answer text to display. Not a great job. All right. Let's do better luck next time. Okay. So that'll be the incorrect default. We probably want some concept of randomization and a type of question. And that just has to do with visualizing it. I don't know. I'll add that, but I don't think we're going to do it in this little video here. That's not the point. Randomize the display of the answers. I can already tell you that I'm going to need to do something funky to allow that. So randomize, and then type is Boolean value true, because I want to randomize. Most of the time people want to randomize. Oh, you can't just take a screenshot and send it to someone. Okay, so randomize. Now I'm going to have answers, and we're going to generate something else called like original answer set, or actually display. Maybe we'll do displayed answer set. And displayed answers, camel case that, lowercase d. Displayed answers is going to be of type array. You say, what? Why is that different? And instead of value, it's going to be a computed value. Ooh, fancy. And so we're going to say compute displayed answers. And we're going to compute displayed answers based on two values. It's going to be based on randomize, and it's going to be based on answers. Okay. And so effectively, we're going to, because we want to know what that original set is, right? So when we do data binding in a UI, we're going to want the answers to be in the correct order. Otherwise, it's going to be really annoying to work with. But when we're displayed to students, we're going to want to do some processing to take those answers that were put in and shift them around dynamically. All right, so now displayed answers. We'll do notify on that. Sure, I don't know that that really have any implication. Notify will have an implication for like this, for noticing that that changed potentially. So, all right, so, and this isn't value change. We're going to go down to answers changed. So whenever the answers change in the UI, we're going to want to reflect it dynamically. And so answers will get updated, which then we'll do some path notification here. Actually, we'll probably want to do it on displayed answers, in compute displayed answers. But so let's make compute displayed answers. Okay. Figure out the order of the answers, which will be displayed. Okay. So we're going to put that in, comma. All right, function. So we'll have answers in this case. So if type of answers does not equal type of undefined, and answers dot length is greater than 0, right? So we actually have stuff. Then bother to do, well, and randomize, right? So only if randomize is true. If randomize is false, we just do this. We say return answers, and I don't even care what it is. That's for something else to do the data checking on. Okay, so then we've got randomize there. Okay, so if we need to randomize our answers here, then we'll do to do apply our random sort to the answers array. For the time being, we're just going to return answers. Actually, we'll do let random equal answers, and then we'll return that. So, okay, so that we would do some processing against this, shift some items around, move them to the back, whatever. Okay, so we've got computed answers, notify true, display answers. Now we're going to actually have to put those in the page. So let's go back to our task list. And we can steal that repeat statement. I'm actually going to steal a bunch of this OER metadata as a starting point. Okay, so got related resource. Probably going to keep some connotation like that. So let's just steal that blatantly from task list for the time being. Okay. And then name, well, it's not name, it's title here. So the title of this, and then let's look at the OER schema specification real quick in here as an example. Copy that, paste it in, and we'll see there's that resource part, type of, so I want type of assessment. I can do that in attached. All right, so on the attached callback, I think there's another way to set those attributes as well. I might have to shift to in the future so that you're not doing, it seems silly to have to do it at this step, but whatever. So that's type of assessment instead of supporting material, okay. And so that way it's on our high level elements. We don't need this wrapper anymore. Resource will automatically be generated. All right, so then he has a meta property assessing. Okay, so then this is going to be like here. Okay, not sure how we use assessment yet. Great work, Mike. So we're going to take this and see, okay, he's actually kind of wiring the whole thing. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of how that wiring goes. It's going to be one of these, it has to exist and then it can be modified type of deals. So we've got the title, which is the name of this question. Then we want to display the question text. All right, so the other thing, Nikki is working on something called relative headings, and that is really going to come into play with some of these elements, right? Like hard coding H2s into a multiple choice is kind of bad practice, right? For one, this is probably a much lower order element, so we'll say it's H3, but really it should be an element that's figuring out where it is in the document and then applying a heading, because it is important. It's just, you know, we don't know the order to put it in. So before, let's add question, right? Question is text-based. So just put a stupid div and do question. Okay, so now I'm going to have the question. It's going to say like, welcome to Rome, and then it's going to say, why did Rome fall? Select all that apply, and then it's going to put down my answers, which I need to do, not answers, but I need displayed answers. And so displayed answers is going to go in here, and it's going to be answers, or answer rather, and then we're going to do answer dot, and then we'll look at, right, so you know, it's the Boolean is going to be whether or not it's correct, and then I'm going to need some connotation of like text or label or something. So I could do like label, I guess, and then needs, let's look for like a radio button or something on webcomponents.org. Radio, it's got to be a paper radio button. There we go. So paper radio button. Let's look at the demo for it. Cool. It's easy enough. Oh, good. And that's exactly the thing I was looking for. Okay. So then we're going to do paper radio button. All right, actually first, so that is not a normal element I use, so let's make sure we have it in our setup. Multiple choice. Install it in there. Good. Okay. Wow, that was really hard, I know. So then paper radio button. We're going to go back here. We're going to do copy paste. Paper radio button is the name of the tag. Paste, paste. Okay. So then we got paper radio button. Multiple choice. Ask the user a question from a set of possible answers. That's easy enough to understand. Okay, I'm not going to have microcopy for that at the moment. So we've got the question, we've got the name of it, we've got the potential to relate it to other things for future flexibility. And then we're going to have a list of possible answers. We're not going to do OLs, we're going to do ULs. And then inside of this list, we're going to have paper radio button. All right, and that's not going to have, well, I guess it could have text in it now, could it? Based on reading. Okay, so that's the label. Okay, nice. So then what I'm going to do, and this is a fun thing of using HTML, is I can just put that property OER yeah, we'll just say answer. I don't know what the spec is, but we'll say, you know, if it was an answer to a question or whatever, then we could put it in here. So let's take that answer label. We're going to put it there. And then there is a value here. Where is it? It's paper radio button. I don't know how this part's going to work, I'll be perfectly honest. Part of this is just to try and make something. All right, so there's, I don't know that I care about the inking part. All right, it has this burst, but whatever, we'll leave it on. So there's data binding with checked, right? So let's see how checked is wired up here. Checked is a property and it notifies, okay, sets or gets, good. Okay, so because this sets and gets and it notifies, it's going to have the potential for two-way data binding. Now, I don't know how this is going to fly potentially, but so I should be able to do checked equals and then two-way data binding to answer dot, I don't know, what would I call that? Toward answer dot correct, right? So I guess if it's false, then it's not correct, and if it is true, then it's a correct answer. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. So checked, and we're going to bind checked to this, which would mean when I click on that radio in a form, it should update visually in the UI in some way, because it would be the answer that they have selected. The other reason that I want to keep displayed answers separate from the correct answer methodology would be because the user is actually going to interact with this and do something. Now, for that reason, and so I said I'm not going to finish this in one video. There's a lot of logic to something this simple. I wouldn't want the user to see what the correct answers are automatically. So I'm going to need some kind of displayed answers, and then I'm going to need some parameter of like what they have said versus what the correct answer is. So let's do user answer, right? So, or like user guess. Let's do, okay. So that our theoretical data structure for answers, because users are going to have to be able to do it, there's going to be an additional Boolean for whether or not the user has guessed this is the thing, which is different from a correct answer, right? Because I'm going to need to track correct, but I'm also going to need to track their guess, and then I can kind of mash the two up. All right, so we're going to put in place the user guess. In that case, it's going to be two-way data binded to update in answer. Answer is in displayed answers, and then we'll have something that we can evaluate. So speaking of evaluate, I'm going to need like a paper button, and then we'll pull in the reference for paper button instead of paper radio button. And paper button we'll do raised, and we'll do check answer, but we'll data bind that because we like to add flexibility. Check title or check label. I like label better. And so then we're going to do text of the label to check your answer. Okay, so that's going to be check label, and we're going to be type string, and then the default value we're going to put in check answer. There we go. Okay, so then by default it'll say check answer. For the user, they could click it, and then we'll want some kind of on tap event, and on tap equals verify answer. All right, and so then we can put in verify the answers of the user based on their saying that they want to see how they did. Okay, so then answers function EK. I can run a normalizer, so I have a lot of shortcuts clearly. So an event normalizer helps just establish that they actually clicked on the thing in question. It's not incredibly necessary for this, but can be for some other things. So we're going to do actually check and visualize the answers in question. Okay, but instead we'll do a console.log to displayed answers. All right, and then we could do, whoops, it's going to be like this dot displayed answers. And then just for the purpose of this, we're going to do for var I in this dot displayed answers, right, which will loop through our array. Okay, so then we do if this dot displayed answers I dot correct, and then we need that user answer. What was the user guess, right? So go back down there, and this dot displayed answers I dot user guess, right? So this would be that it's correct, and they said that it's correct. Alert, you got it right. And we're gonna have to do some else ifs here, basically. Else if for each one of these. Now we obviously wouldn't put that in there. All right, so we're gonna need if it's the correct answer, but they didn't get it right, alert, missed this one. Okay, and then we can, just for the purposes of this alert, dot, what was our little heuristic there? It was label. Okay, label. All right, so you missed this one versus this case, which is that it's not correct, but they said it was they guessed, and so this is going to be you missed this one. This one is not correct. Okay. And then for you got it right, instead we'll say got right equals true. And we'll do let got right equal false as the default case. Then at the end of this loop, if they got it right, then give them a puppy. Alert, you got a puppy. Woo! Okay, so see if they got this correct based on their answers. All right, so these other ones, in this case we'll do console.log, so it's less annoying for this little demo. Okay, console.log. All right, so now we've got the answers coming in. See that they got them all right. And in this case, right, so this answer could be true, but if they get any wrong at all, we need to mark them false. Right, so the case that we don't care about would be, hey, so there's two correct answers, right? So there's two correct answers, loops through, hits the first one, says, hey, you got it right. Loops through, it hits the second one, hey, you got it wrong. What we're going to need to do is say this is absolutely wrong, right? So we're going to need absolute wrong equals true. And that's going to be different from kind of this like status of that you got the, well, no, I guess we could do, if anything makes it you got it wrong, it's just wrong at that point, right? So if got right and equals null, let's do that case, yeah, null. Okay, so if they got it right and if it hasn't been set yet and they got this correct, then make this true. Loops back through. Oh, they got this one wrong. Well, now it's false, which means now it can't possibly be made true again. So we could just say does not equal false, and that the default state is true. And so you've always got it right until you don't. And so these will trigger it to be false. Once this equals false, it's not going to be allowed to come through and keep claiming to be correct. Okay, so let's put in the same console logging there. You got this one. Okay, so you got this one, and we've got the label there. And then we've got these answers. And at the end, hopefully we'll get a puppy. Yay. And verify answer is based on tapping the button. These things are going to come in based on displayed answers. And what else are we missing here? Incorrect, incorrect. The text. Okay, so then instead of you got a puppy, we'll do this dot correct else. And obviously we wouldn't do the alert. Yes, I'm very aware. We won't do an alert at the end. We'll do some nicer thing. I mean, this element is going to take longer than, we're at a half an hour, but I like trying to document my process here. So, all right, displayed answers, correct, answers, question, hide title. Did we use hide title yet? No. Okay, so let's wire up hide title. And hide title is going to be, well, hidden, which is an attribute, bind. We're going to assess that based on whether or not we say hide title. Hide title is false. And so if we say to hide the title, well, then it'll go away. Otherwise, it'll show up. This could be a case for wanting to do a display none, potentially. But let's just do hidden for the time being, because we still want screen readers and things to pick up on this title, potentially. It's some useful data. Okay, so we got our multiple choice thing. Haven't checked anything. Let's go and, whoops, I need to make sure the paper button is installed. I would be shocked if it's not, but let's make sure that I correctly installed paper button. Multiple choice, Bower, paper button. Okay. All right, paper button. Oh, might not have been in there. Okay, so now we've got our little demo here, and our documentation is completely flushed out with all the defaults. Now I'm going to do this. It's not going to do anything, right? Now I have check answer. It's going to say great job, which means some aspect of this worked. Yay. So let's wire into our demo real quick here. Okay, so we've got our demo, multiple choice, and then we can now read off our little API as to how to use this sucker. So now answers is it's a JSON blob, which is an array of objects. I'll put in 2 objects. All right, and then the first one has to be has to have a label and correct. Where is it? Oh, I'm not storing correct there. Okay, or visualizing it rather. So it has to have a label, and the label is option 1, and it has to have correct, which in this case is true. Okay, and then in the second one, we're going to do label option 2 is not right, and then we're going to do correct, false. Okay, so now we've got our answers. We're going to do hide title. I think it showed up before. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay. Well, now it won't because we have hide title in place. Let's inspect, see what's going on here. Okay. Okay. So we've got answer, or it's answers. That will be part of it, now wouldn't it? Answers. And then we've got hide title, which is a Boolean. We're going to turn that on. Correct and incorrect. No, so correct equals you got a meal deal. And if anyone knows what that's from, then please tweet me. Incorrect is you did not get a meal deal. Okay. Refresh. Demo. Hey, hello, look at this. You did not get a meal deal. You got a meal deal. Yay, it worked. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't actually know that would work. All right, so clearly, this isn't 100% done, but it is correctly assessing whether or not I have selected the right values based on input, which is pretty cool. I didn't actually expect to be able to get through that in this short amount of time. So UL, we don't want that UL to have a list style, none, padding 0, margin 0, sure. Okay, see, now we can do some simple CSS, got that cleaned up as far as the option. Now I haven't done the randomization. Array randomization isn't terribly complicated. But JavaScript array random sort. There we go. It's going to say, I'm sure I got just through how to randomize shuffle a JavaScript array. Okay, I have items like this. De facto, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Throw this in. It should shuffle it around. I don't care about the keys in this case, which also certainly helps. So displayed answers, we're going to go down to compute displayed, and then if it's random, we're going to throw in our shuffle algorithm, if you will. And then in this case, it's not going to be array anymore. It's going to be random. Array. Yep. So you have array, random, 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 random. Take that out. Okay. Pull this over. Current index. Bing, bing. Okay. Don't need that there anymore. All right. And so this is going to make a temporary value, shift things around, and put them back in place, basically. Okay. So now we can go in here and let's do, let's copy that little blob. All right, and we'll do that and that. We'll say this is option 2, option 3, and this is option 4, which is not correct. Okay, so let's see if that randomized function is worth anything. No, broke stuff. Cannot read property length of null 169. Okay, so we have to do and answers does not equal null, which usually when things equal null, that means this is not valid JSON. So what I can do is I can take this, go over to jsonlint.com. It's a pretty nice little website, paste it in, validate, and see, nope, it's not correct. And so we can then look at our JSON object and see that we're missing an open. Couple, actually. Okay, there we go. Now it's valid because it formats it nicely. And so then we know that right here we need an open, and right here we need an open. Okay, so refresh, close that. Now I've got my randomized options, but they should still be accurate. So now I have to do 1, 2, and 3 to get the right meal deal. If I do 4, I'm not going to get a meal deal. And if I do those, I'm not going to get a meal deal. However, we don't have support for needing all of them. Oh, wait. It says you did not get a meal deal. Yes, we do have support for all of them. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so we've got randomization. We've got the answers in place, self-checking. And then we need to do some HAX data binding, obviously. And so we can go into our task list element to copy some schema from before, go to multiple choice, go to configure, title, and this is going to be answers. It's going to be answers, and this is going to be bound to correct, and it's going to be correct, and it's going to be a boolean, and then link is going to be label, and we're going to say answer here, and it'll be a string. Answers in a multiple choice. Okay, we're going to go up here. We're going to write instructional. Okay, we're going to get rid of our wiring. We're going to say this is part of LRN web components because it is. And we're going to do, all right, user. It's a multiple choice self-check. Okay, and we'll call it multiple choice on the interface. It's not going to be gray, it's going to be purple because it's awesome. Okay, and then what was our thing for lists? Because a list is actually half decent icon to put here. Okay, list, awesome. Okay, let's make sure that this still loads up. Element is there. All right, now we're going to go to our multiple choice as we have it in that other location. We're going to take that, copy, paste, replace it there. Then we need to make HAX aware it exists. Again, all this work was on the element the entire time. That's what I'm trying to illustrate here. HAX is coming in at the 11th hour. All right, place that. Okay, and now I should be able to do make. Multiple choices there in purple. Get my little answer check. The question is, will you use this? And now I don't know if this part will work. I'll be completely honest. Completely. Oh, you can see it working right there in real time. Oh my gosh. OMG, this is so cool. All right, so then those two have to be correct. And so now I should, and I don't know about this. Let's do that. And will you use this? Oh, you got it right. If I missed that, better luck next time. This is so stinking cool. All right, so now I have a data wiring system for students to check how well they did, but I need completely honest to be off. And there we go. We're the majority of the way to inline self-assessment in a sustainable manner that can be packaged up and sent to other people. I need to get the form to repaint on the way back. But this has been 40 minutes of awesome HAX the Web